performer. There was a time in which IT sectors were the darling of the market, but at that point of time, their earnings growth was 30 to 35% year on year.
If you look at the Income Tax Act, if you focus on your financial goals, your tax saving will happen automatically.
The market looks at the future. If you now see as to what is the outlook on the economy, it is surely much brighter than what it was, say, a few months back.
Watch Informed Investor at your workplace at these times only on CNBC TV 18.
Presented by National Stock Exchange. Powered by moneycontrol.com. Magazine partner Entrepreneur. Online partner RadioWhiskey.in.
Sometimes life's going to hit you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love. And that is as true for work as it is for your lovers. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life. And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you
do. Meet the new boss, your customer. The data she shares from comments, reviews, and social networks tells a company what to make, what it's made from, how it's shipped, and the way it's sold. Some companies are increasing sales up to 20% by using analytics to tailor experiences to the one person that matters most. That's what I'm working on. I'm an IBMer. Let's build a smarter planet.
Welcome back to National Stock Exchange and CNBC TV 18's Investothon. This morning we're running in New Delhi at the Tyagaraja Stadium near Prem Nagar near Safdarjung Airport. Well, I'm coming to you live from the studio in Mumbai. I have two very special guests here. Neville Wadia, who's the MD of Altitude Technology Systems India, and Harshvardhan Rungta, who's a certified financial planner at Rungta Securities. Let's go on ground to Shruti Mishra in New Delhi. Shruti, tell us how things going down at the Investothon in New Delhi.
Yes, Sumit, I have with me Mr. Amit Goel from the PACE Group. Tell us, Amit, that what is your take on this initiative, running for better health and for better wealth?
Actually, what has happened is that in today's fast pace and stressful lifestyles, people often tend to ignore their health, and at the same time, they don't have the time or the inclination to, try and proactively manage their wealth and invest for the long term. So most of the people are today invested in FTs. I think broadly, last two generations have missed out on the great bull run and the great opportunities which capital markets have thrown at us. I think this is a brilliant initiative by NSE and CNBC to, encourage people to not only run and exercise more for their health, but also to focus their time, energies and efforts on proactively managing their wealth and make money for themselves by investing in the capital markets for the long term.
All right, Amit, tell us what are some of the basic steps that people can take to invest better in the market?
Yeah. See, as far as my company PACE is concerned, for us, the theme this year is Soch Kar, Samajh Kar, Invest Kar. So basically what that means is that first of all, you need to decide your strategy. You need to understand which sectors to invest in, decide what tenure of your investments is going to be, then try and understand the stocks, in which you want to invest your money. Understand them very well. Don't go by the hearsays or by the tips which you hear from your friendly neighborhood brokerage outfits or whatever, and then invest in the stock markets for long term. So, Soch Kar, Samajh Kar, Invest Kar. That's the basic idea.
Well, you got it. Soch Kar, Samajh Kar, Invest Kar. Amit, you look quite fit. What is your fitness regime?
Okay, thanks. I run about 5 kilometers a day. I do about 100 push-ups. But I guess it's still, you can always do better than that. So I'm still striving for more and better fitness.
Well, Sumit, 5 kilometers and 100 push-ups and you can get a body like that. Over to you.
Thanks, Shruti. Well, wise words and good advice there from Amit Goel of PACE. I shall come to you. Well, he said a really important point about, people not having time, like Neville also was earlier saying, people don't have time to give towards their fitness, and people also might not have time to give to investing correctly, because they'd say, I can't follow FD interest rates every week, every month, I can't follow the market every day, I don't have time. I think that's where a certified financial planner comes in. But how does one go about getting a good certified financial planner?
See, Sumit, first thing, I would not entirely agree that you do not have time to manage your money.
Okay.
So, in a kind of effort that everybody puts in to earn money,
yeah,
you just need a small bit of that much to only manage it. So, there is nothing that can be done independently by a financial planner if there is no interest by the investor himself. So, you have to be involved in your own money. You have to be interested in ensuring that money grows. Okay, we can only do one thing, is that we can pitch in and regularize it for him.
Right. Okay.
We can, as you said, every person has its own expertise. I would not have any idea about fitness or the technicalities part of it. I would not have idea about certain other industries. So I would rely on another person who's an expert in that industry to get advice from him. Okay, but I have to be interested in my own fitness. Then I would approach somebody in the fitness business. So what a financial planner could do is simply regularize it for you, channelize it for you. You have to be primarily
kind of setting. So that's again we get back to touching a bit on setting your goals, because once you set a goal with a financial planner, he can kind of facilitate it for you, set the path that you need to walk down on.
And he could also advise you on to which instruments suit you better.
Right.
Against what your myth or your own assumptions would be that X product is good for me. It may not be. So now answering the other part of your question is, how do you choose a good financial planner? Okay, so every person has his own style and flavor of advice. Okay, I as a financial planner would be different from another competent financial planner in the industry. So you need to first have a basic meeting with a financial planner to understand whether your thought processes and the thought process of the financial planner you're going to hire are matching. If I'm on another pitch altogether and you're on another ground altogether, in spite of me being good in my business and you being knowing what you want to do, we may still not gel well.
Okay, great.
So have a first brief meeting, a preliminary meeting to understand whether we match into our thought process.
That's a very important first step. We'll just go back on ground because Shruti Mishra has another guest coming to you live from New Delhi at the Tyagaraja Stadium. Over to you, Shruti.
Yes, Sumit, I have with me Mr. P.K. Binlesh from SEBI. Sir, tell me, your thoughts on this, running for better health and better wealth. What does SEBI feel about this?
You see, running is certainly better for the health, but this running of Investothon is better for the capital markets as well as for the economy. The SEBI is of the view that this kind of events create an awareness among the investors about the equity and the capital market. And awareness in the investors is very much required, which can only provide a robust and healthy capital market and the economy.
All right, Sumit, it's surely creating a lot of awareness, this Investothon. Over to you.
Thank you, Shruti. Neville, I want to talk to you about, how people, we were talking earlier about altitude training, how it can help people, even patients or rather someone who is suffering from diseases. So what kind of diseases has research seen people, which diseases have benefited by altitude training?
Primarily type 2 diabetes.
Okay, and in fact that is, India is unfortunately becoming a, people have touting it that it could be the diabetes capital of the world, which is really unfortunate.
Absolutely. We are going there and we've already reached there as the type 2 diabetic capital. And the thing that altitude training does, as I mentioned, is that it uses glucose as your first source of energy when you're in a low oxygen environment.
Yes.
The issue with type 2 diabetics is they have too much glucose in their blood gets thicker, and insulin is not working to stabilize this. So in order to do this, if you train at altitude, or even if you live at altitude in a low oxygen environment, the first source of energy is glucose. So you're depleting glucose from your blood, and your blood is becoming thinner, your insulin levels start regulating. So it is very effective in treating type 2 diabetics.
So it can be used as a bit of a cure as well as prevention.
Absolutely.
So it works both ways.
Absolutely. In the olden days when people had asthma, they were actually told, about 40, 50, 60 years ago, they were actually told to go and live in a hill station.
Yes. Yes.
And that was a cure, because with asthma, it's your small airways that are constricted. And apart from using steroids, the only other thing that can open these airways is by exposing yourself to low oxygen environment.
Yeah, so it's age-old wisdom coming to us.
Absolutely.
Back again. We'll go down to on ground in New Delhi at the Investothon. Both the runs are pretty much over. The runners, some of the runners have returned. We had the 4-kilometer Rajiv Gandhi Equity Savings Scheme run and the 2-kilometer power run. But let's go down on ground with Shruti Mishra at Tyagaraja Stadium in New Delhi. Over to you, Shruti.
Yes, right now I have with me Jan Maglik from Religare Securities. Jan, tell us, what advice will you give to new investors? Where can they invest?
I think all investors should follow a portfolio allocation model where they invest in different asset classes depending on their age and risk appetite. But I think given India's growth story, by far the largest investment should be made in equities. So the long-term growth story of India, all this benefit must flow to everybody. And if you see the history of several nations across the country, South Korea, Japan, US, whenever they had this run of growth, the investors made the most money. And I think so therefore all investment, when it is being considered by people, they should actually go out and have a significant allocation in equities.
All right, all new investors, equities where you should invest. Sumit, over to you.
Thanks, Shruti. Well, that was Jayant, and he has some piece of advice as well on how you can better invest. Harsh, I want to talk to you about, earlier we were talking about diversification. I want to talk to you about insurance, because that is one aspect that I believe people, I don't know, I think it's this thing that people maybe don't want to think about their afterlife or their death, that they don't want to go in for insurance. But what is your feeling, what is your experience telling us from your profession about how people, investing in insurance?
See, well, the first thing, yes, it is true that not many people like to listen and talk about insurance. Now, this, we have understood, comes primarily from a fact that it's always been missold in a country like India, rather than a requirement. Now, if you study it from a requirement point of view, it is the first step of financial planning. It's the most important component of personal finance. Now, if it was true that people do not like insurance, no, that's not fair, that's not right. We have the general insurance sector where motor insurance is compulsory.
Yes.
You have all industries who have insured their factories voluntarily. Okay, so the concept of insurance is understood. Now let's understand from life insurance perspective. When we talk about life insurance, term insurance is the pure form of insurance. Now, some people have that kind of a thought that we don't get anything back at the end of the period, term insurance. So let me just explain this concept of insurance with an example. There is a village with about 1,000 houses, okay, and in which every year they have, as a matter of practice, noticed 2 houses catch fire and they get completely destroyed.
Yes, yes.
It takes about 50,000 rupees for that house owner to rebuild his house. So it takes about 1 lakh every year in that village of 1,000 to have those 2 houses rebuilt again. Now it becomes an extremely heavy burden on that individual whose house has been destroyed. Now nobody knows which 2 houses are going to be destroyed.
Yes.
So the village collectively decides that since we are 1,000 of us, we need 1 lakh every year. Everybody starts contributing 100 rupees every year. So they accumulate a corpus of 1 lakh of rupees.
Yeah.
So any 2 houses that in the village get destroyed, it takes care of that.
So the basic concept of insurance.
So 100 rupees is the premium.
Yes. Yes.
50,000 is your sum insured in this concept. And if I were a householder, I would be a house owner. I would be completely happy that if in case something happens to me, the entire burden of 50,000 does not come on me at a cost of paying 100 rupees.
Okay, we'll hold that thought for a second. We'll come back to you on that, on insurance. Going down to Shruti Mishra at Tyagaraja Stadium in New Delhi. Over to you, Shruti.
Yes, Sumit, I have with me 2 guests, Mr. Subhash Agarwal from the SMC Group and Mr. Ashok Agarwal from Globe. So, sir, tell us, better health and better wealth. What are your comments on that?
Yeah, it is always better to run for keep the better health, or you should do yoga. And this event organized by NSC and CNBC, I will congratulate them. It is very good. This is a second year, and it is always better. It gives investor awareness about capital market. I wish all the success to them.
Well, sir, thank you so much. Ashok, tell us, what are the basic steps that investors should take to invest better?
Well, investing in market is like running a marathon. If you want to invest in market, invest for long term. In marathon, you don't exhaust yourself immediately, and you take steady steps for running. Similarly, if you want to invest in the market, invest steadily, invest regularly, and invest for long term. Because if you don't invest in the market and your neighbor invests in the market, he will overtake you, he will outperform you. For your growth, for your prosperity, for your wealth, and for your health, invest in the capital market, and that is why we are participating in this marathon.
All right, invest steadily and invest regularly. That's another piece of advice that we've got, Sumit.
Thank you, Shruti. Well, very wise words. Invest for the long term, which is what we are also talking about here at National Stock Exchange and CNBC TV 18 Investothon. We're talking about creating awareness for better health and better wealth, and both of these things are should always be done for the long term. That's how they're really and always beneficial. Harsh, talking about insurance again. How does one decide the sum assured for one's talking about life insurance? How does one decide the sum assured?
See, well, there are a couple of methods with which you can decide what is the sum insurance. Because see, what is important is if being underinsured is a problem, so is being overinsured.
Yes.
So it is very important to have the right amount of insurance. Now, one of the most common methods that a layman can use even sitting back at home is if you want to replace your income. So first is how much of that income per month or per annum is what you want to replace. Suppose you say that I want to replace 50,000 rupees every month to my family in case I am not there. So how do you do that? If you have a 1 crore fixed deposit in a bank which earns you a post-tax returns of 6%, that is 6 lakhs a year. Okay, so which means that if you have 1 crore, you don't need insurance. If you have 20 lakh of rupees, there is a shortfall of 80 lakhs.
Right.
So buy an insurance. In this particular case, if an individual has 20 lakhs worth of investments, he buys 80 lakhs worth of insurance. So in case of his demise, his dependents can simply put that money in a bank fixed deposit, which earns a post-tax return of 6% and which is 50,000 rupees a month.
Okay, great wise words there from Harsh. Neville, final closing comments. There was a study by the British Medical Journal, which was just published on Friday, that said that they did a survey of about 15,000 Olympians who won medals, and it figured out that Olympians usually live about 2.8 years longer than average, because I guess because it says that they train, and Olympians always train on high altitudes.
Yes.
How does that work? They stay there and then they come down to sea level to compete?
India as a country spends about 20 to 30 crores of rupees a year on sending athletes to countries like Kenya and Spain and to train at high altitude.
Okay.
Instead, they can do that in a simulated environment.
Okay, all right.
And what they do is they train at high altitude and then perform better at sea level.
Wow, okay, that's a very important piece of knowledge here from Neville. Well, that's all the time that we have today at the National Stock Exchange and CNBC TV 18's Investothon, which is coming to you live from New Delhi. As you can see, the prize distribution ceremony is on, but we're all out of time. Thank you, Neville. Thank you, Harsh, for joining us in the studio this morning. Thank you for watching. We'll be back very soon with another edition of the Investothon in another city. Till then, keep watching CNBC TV 18.
Presented by National Stock Exchange. On-ground partner, Select City Walk.